So, you're a marketer and you're looking for that next big growth market. Chances are your eyes are on West Africa. We're talking millions of potential customers. But here's the real question. How do you actually connect with them? You see, the key isn't just knowing that they're online. It's about understanding what they're searching for when they get there. Today, we're going to decode those digital footprints to give you a direct line into the real needs and desires of this incredibly dynamic market.
All right, here's our roadmap. We're going to start with the big picture, the digital landscape itself. Then we'll zoom right in on how and what people are searching for. After that, we'll connect those searches to some really deep cultural drivers. And most importantly, we'll wrap it all up with a clear, actionable marketing playbook that you can start using right away.
Okay, first things first, let's get one thing straight. West Africa is not a single market. Not at all. It's this vibrant mix of 15 different countries. And to even begin to understand what's happening online here, you have to start with one fundamental concept.
And that concept is the digital divide. Now, this is so much more than just who has a smartphone. For you as a marketer, this is your first filter. It dictates who you can even reach, what devices they're on, and how simple or complex your campaigns need to be. Honestly, this is the absolute starting point for any realistic strategy in the region.
And these are the real barriers we're talking about. It's not just about owning a device. It's about, do you know how to use it? Do you have a good reason to? And crucially, can you afford the data? For marketers, this insight is critical. You can't just assume everyone is a digital native. Your campaigns, your websites, your ads, they have to be simple, super intuitive, and built for low bandwidth environments if you want any chance of cutting through.
Now check this out. This data shows one of the biggest divides in the region, and it all comes down to language. The English-speaking countries, like Nigeria and Ghana, they had about a 5-year head start on using search engines compared to their French-speaking neighbors. And the result? Huge differences in search volume and user behavior. The takeaway here couldn't be simpler, but it's so important. A one-size-fits-all strategy for West Africa is absolutely guaranteed to fail. You need totally distinct approaches.
Okay, so we know the landscape is fragmented. But what about the people who are online? What does their search behavior actually look like? Well, to really get into their heads, we can use a classic framework, the 5 W's and an H.
Just think about it for a second. When someone in Accra or Lagos has a question that pops into their head, what's the very first word they're likely to type into that search bar?
Well, the data is crystal clear. What just completely dominates, followed by who and how. This tells us something huge. For West Africans, search is fundamentally a tool for getting knowledge and practical help. They're looking for definitions, they're looking for instructions, they're looking for answers. And that is a massive opportunity for brands who focus on being genuinely helpful.
And now let's see how this breaks down by country. As you might guess, the big English-speaking hubs, Ghana and Nigeria, they lead the way for searches like where and when. But here's a really fascinating twist. Togo, a francophone nation, is the #1 leader in what queries. This is the perfect proof of our earlier point. You can't just translate a campaign. You need a country-specific keyword strategy, period.
We've covered the how, so now let's get to the part that every business really cares about. What are people actually searching for? What are their real-world priorities, as told by their Google searches?
Before I show you the data, just take a guess. What do you assume are the main drivers here? Is it all about making money? Is it keeping up with political news? Or is it something a lot more personal? The answer is, well, it's overwhelming. A staggering 79% of all searches are driven by what we call social needs. Things like economics and politics, they're barely even on the chart in comparison. So the single most important thing to take away here is this. If your marketing message isn't connecting on a personal, human level, you are basically invisible to almost 80% of the entire market.
And what does social actually mean here? Well, it means the pillars of everyday life. The top 5 things people need information about are lifestyle, education, religion, business, and health. People are literally using the internet to improve their lives, their knowledge, their faith, their careers, and their well-being. This list right here, this is your content marketing plan, handed to you on a silver platter.
All right, now we're going to go one level deeper. Because these search queries, they aren't just data points. They are little windows into the soul of a culture. They reveal the deep-seated values that drive people's decisions, and that is where marketing gets really, really powerful.
So the first cultural driver we see popping up in the data is what researchers call the masculinity dimension. Now, to be clear, this has nothing to do with gender. It's about a culture that really values achievement, success, and striving to be the best. In a word, it's about ambition.
Think about a search like, who is the richest man in the world? That's not just someone looking for a fun fact. It's a search for a hero, right? A benchmark for success. It's an aspiration. So for marketers, this means that messages about achievement, getting ahead, and leveling up your life are going to resonate really, really strongly.
The second key cultural value we see is something called uncertainty avoidance. Put simply, this is just the basic human need for clarity and for answers in a world that's, well, full of unknowns. In cultures that have high uncertainty, people actively use tools like search to find a sense of security and make the future feel just a little more predictable. And just look at how powerfully this shows up in what people are searching for. They aren't asking small questions. They're asking about life's biggest uncertainties, their relationships, their health, their faith, the timing of huge life events. They're turning to search engines for reassurance, for truth. Any brand that can provide clear, reliable, trustworthy answers to these kinds of questions will earn an incredible amount of trust.
Okay, so we've covered the landscape, the how, the what, and the deep cultural why. Now let's pull all of this together into a practical, strategic playbook you can use to really connect with your next customer in West Africa.
So this is it, right? This is the ultimate question for any marketer or business owner. How do you take all of this fascinating data and actually turn it into a strategy that works on the ground?
Here it is, your playbook, in 3 clear steps. First, focus. Align your content with those social and lifestyle needs because that's where 79% of the audience is. Second, position. Frame your product as the answer to their problems, the tool that offers clarity and also fuels their ambition. And third, tailor. You absolutely positively must create different strategies for Anglophone and Francophone markets. If you get these 3 things right, you have a seriously powerful foundation for growth.
As we wrap up, I think this quote is a really powerful reminder. You're not marketing to a blank slate here. You're connecting with an incredibly dynamic region that has deep, rich cultural roots. The brands that will succeed are the ones that respect this heritage while genuinely addressing the modern digital needs that we've talked about today.
And so I'll leave you with this final thought. The people of West Africa are online right now, and they are asking profound questions about their lives, their futures, and their well-being. The ultimate opportunity here isn't just to sell them a product. It's to ask yourself, how can your brand become the answer?